And we are live. The first Friday of the year. How is everyone? We've got Mexican Spec says, where are we tonight? The thumbnail is from the classroom at Thunder Ranch in Lakeview, Oregon. That was 2017. Hard to believe that class was nearly 9 years ago. And cool classroom. I really like it. Clint Smith's a class act, even though he is now retired, as best I know. But anyway, that's where that was from. The One-Eyed Cat is here. Unfinished project, Dart Sport. Mrs. One-Eyed Cat. Dan E. Boyd. SSR Performance, Big James. Who reminds me, coincidentally, if you are not yet registered for the No Name Nationals, you are missing out. So there is an overlap that will go on through this month for those who were registered for the No Name Nationals last year, the 2025, and you have your Edelbrock incentives, discount through Edelbrock. If you re-register by the end of January, you will keep that, okay? If you don't, it'll go away until you re-register. If you have never registered for the No Name Nationals, then you can register now and go ahead and get it. It is 10 to 15% off everything on Edelbrock's website. So those are good prices. That's a worthy discount. It's more than worth your money to register for that discount. So check that out. Go to edelbrock.com. There's over 20,000 parts there that you get that discount on. It's a free perk they throw us just to support the No Name Nationals. So if you're not yet registered, that's a good incentive to go ahead and do so. And SSR Performance, Big James reminded me of that because he has taken full advantage of that. Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly is here. Colleen Tebow, Matthew Ward, wrong English. Colleen Tebow asks if Max Wedge is going to get his 500 subs this year. He's, I think, at 300 and some. I posted the link to his channel in the chat. So you want to go check it out, check it out. He's got a cool car. Got some fun videos on there. Some fun stuff. I like the car, like the channel. He's a good guy. Go check him out. The Mid-South Lowballer. Wrong English is here trying to kick the ear off right. Yeah, there's the link to Max Wedge Dick Dastardly's channel. Mohawk 62, Turbo Tom. And speaking of Turbo Tom, a friend of mine mentioned that he had no idea how the brakes worked on a Model T, and he had seen that somewhere. And he'd asked me about it. I said, yeah, our friend Turbo Tom has a Model T. And I sent him a link to the channel. Tom, do you have a video on the brakes specifically of the Model T? That mechanical brake that it has? I see my Aunt Nancy's here. Thank you for coming by. Good to see you as always. Lone Wrench Garage. Thumper the Sweaty Fat Guy. Says 264 and some hours. That is correct. 264 days, 3 hours, 55 minutes until the 5th annual AHRA No Name Nationals. That time will fly. Ready or not, here it comes. JB's Little Shop is here. Hello, sir. Good to see all of you in the new year. Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell. Greetings from the past, 2026 people. Well, it's kind of funny because when New Year's ticked over, I was in 2026, but all you folks on Central Time were not. Lars is here. Hello. Kerosene Cucumbers is here. I said, Dallas says he thought that was a great username. Saw it on Wednesday. I totally agree. If you know where it came from, makes it even better. Rapid Transit J, Levi's Backyard Performance. He said I sound congested. I sound a lot better than I did a few days ago, but I'm okay. I just had a little bit of congestion. It doesn't sideline me or anything. It's all right. But it's funny. Levi and I were actually talking a day or two ago about, it could have been this morning, I don't even remember. But Levi and I were talking about doing something like an LS in something like a outrageous, like a Roadrunner or something like that, versus it's in his mind, if you don't do the LS, you got to let it sit. And in my mind, no, put a $500 383 in it. You don't have to spend any money just to run it. You can put a free 318 in the thing, right? I mean, but it's like, he's like, well, if you can't, I don't know. I don't know what that was all about, but bottom line is we got different approaches to things and we still happily coexist. I just know that I'm glad I didn't see the LS in the Roadrunner he saw. It was a drift car, apparently. Engine Light Garage is here. Pure Pontiac. Hello. Nice looking GTO on his thumbnail there. Mostly Mopar, who is leading the No Name 500 at the moment. Glad you're here. Mrs. Engine Light Garage, hello. Silent Gray, left turn Dodge, running second in the No Name 500. Andrew Nelson is here, says good evening from Team Nivlac 57. Glad you are here. Andrew Nelson, so do you thinking about running Triple Crown this year? Where does this fit in with the Team Nelson plans for 2026? I know it's early, but you're the kind of folks who have things figured out months and months ahead of time and do them. Wrong English says car parts. Hopefully my list will be shorter this year. Indeed it will. I'm going to come up there. Let's wait. Let's not bone cold. I'll come up. Mexican Specs is pretty close to a third of the days gone before the next race. Yeah, I guess so. If you're counting year to year, yes, pretty close. We're about 100 days down from 365, so I guess that's fair to say. One-Eyed Cats is Max Wedge's a wheels up kind of guy. Yeah, he is indeed. Like to see him be wheels up at Sykeston. Left Turn Dodge has just got home, found a pair of front drag wheels on tires on Marketplace with 15x9s for the rear. Oh, that's cool. Tell you what I'd really like to have would be some original factory 15x8 Ram Charger wheels. That would be nice. I'd love to have them for the back of the Roadrunner. I know the aftermarket ones actually fit a little better, but I would like to have some of the factory Ram Charger 15x8s, the solid ones. I think that will be cool. RP Dynalo says SRP is here. Hello. Mopar K. Mohawk says I sound like I have a cold. Yeah, a little bit. Just a little congestion, but I'm all right. I'll function and survive just fine. Turbo Tom says no, but I can make a video on band breaking. Well, there you go. That'd be great. Got one guy asking for it. Jonathan, he might even be in the chat tonight, but yeah, he was asking for it. I said, Turbo Tom's bound to have one on his channel. Don't you have a video on redoing the main bearings on there somewhere? Because I think that's even wilder. But yeah, if you did a video on band breaking, that'd be pretty cool. I'd be happy to share that. Let's see here. Yeah, left turn Dodge is 318s for $100. Yeah, that's why I said a free 318. They're 500 pounds of scrap most places. And I mean, you can even get not even saying you have to build one. You can still find those that run and function and everything. But I mean, gosh, even if you did, you can find some really. I mean, look at a Magnum. You can get a Magnum cheap, like a 5.2 Magnum, especially. Most people, if they're going to go to all the trouble, they do a 5.9. Buick Smith is here. Buick Smith, who has just registered for the No Name Nationals. Very, very glad you're throwing in. I think you're going to try on Triple Crown, too. Ryan Barsness, Racer Ray. Mostly Mopar says, thanks to y'all, I picked up 30 subscribers this week. Yeah, the Mid-South Lowballer did too. Typically, that's kind of the phenomenon that happens when people register. It shows people they're serious. They pop up on the front page, and it just works. Mopar K says, I'll be running Triple Crown 2027. Well, that's a long way out, so hopefully the stars will all align and it works out. Let's see here. Don says, bone cold. It is that. Yes, it is. Unfinished Project puts up a link to Left Turn Dodge's video there. RP Dynalo says, I like old Novas. I'd put a Mopar 383 in it. Yeah, I'd like that. That'd be pretty cool. Actually, along those lines, when in the old NMCA, there used to be a father and son team. The driver was Dan Paolini. And I don't know what he's doing these days, but he ran an NMCA and he had this 67, I think, it was a 66 or 67 Chevy 2 Nova. And that car went down into the 920s and they decided they wanted to go for it and they wanted to win the thing. And so they stepped up. They got a fourth gen Camaro, the cat-ish looking one. But they had Tim Davis build a Screaming 410 cubic inch small block Mopar for it. And that car, I know I saw it run 880s. I don't know, where it finally got, but I know I saw it run 880s myself. And that was really cool with the Mopar. I just thought that was a neat combo. And last I heard, they parted it out. The engine went one place, the car went someone else, kind of all lost its identity. And I have no idea what he's doing, if he's racing. I think they raced Mustangs after that because the NMCA and NMRA, the merger and all that. So I don't know. But that was a really cool series in the 90s when you still had people that were innovating and all of that. And they were all building really different stuff and all running close to one another. It was just fun days for competitive class racing that wasn't horrific on the budget. And of course, as you know, that never lasts that long. Unfinished project, got the link to Mid-South Lowballer here. You can find all three on my main page as well. Let's see here. Max Wedge Dick Dashley says that I need a set of 14-inch wide steel slot wheels. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I guess I could. Let's see here. Unfinished project says I'm unable to share Mostly Mopar's link. Oh, now that's wild. So Mostly Mopar, make sure, because I haven't looked yet, make sure your channel doesn't have like set made for kids or anything like that. Probably be a good idea to check your settings. Make sure it's not set to made for kids or any weird comment disables or any of that, okay? That probably could do that. In Mopar cases, I still have to register. I assume it helps a lot more to register early. Well, I mean, it helps this event to register early. It helps us to have money put back to go toward the event and get the bills paid early and so forth. And because remember, if we were to collect at the gate, all the people who say they're coming and don't, hey, everything is paid, rented, the track, the lights, the portable toilet, the track glue, everything. Everything has to be paid in advance. So obviously when people register in advance, it helps us. But that said, we're happy to have everyone. And if somebody doesn't want to register in advance, they want to register at the last minute, we're happy to have them. That's great. But registering early is helpful to the house. Andrew Nelson says, still trying to find a car that would make sense to run in the triple. His Nova is not legal as built. I was looking at a Camaro 3 days ago and it's not legal. Well, that's a Dallas and Professor P question right there. Just curious, what are the things that are keeping it from being legal? What are the roadblocks there? Twisted Dennis is here. Hello, sir. Glad you could make it. Good to see you in the new year. Mostly Mopar. He pasted a link, but it's probably not highlighted. But anyway, there it is. Just at Mostly Mopar. So there's his handle. You can see his handle there. Bigfoots and Mopars. Hello, Bigfoot Mark. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Cop Car Steve. Cop Car Steve from Canada says hello. Well, glad you could make it. So I take it you got a Crown Vic. That's what it looks like in the thumbnail. I was looking, somebody had asked me, I got this link real handy here. Somebody had asked me what the cars were, the police cars from the Dukes of Hazzard, specifically a certain one, and I said it was a 77 Fury. That's what it was. And I was asked, are they still out there? And so there's this one for sale on Hemmings. It's a really good-looking white, I think it was Alpine White, the Mopar's called that, EW1. And this one's a 447/27. Got all the good stuff. He's asking $12,500 for it, which who knows how to price anything anymore. But those are such cool cars. Oh, let's see here. Left Turn Dodge has never been down a drag strip either. Well, there you go. Well, this is a good place to go down a track for the first time. I will bet you that more than 70% of the participants in 2022 had never been down a track at the first No Name Nationals. So Buick Smith has engine choices and a whole bunch of them, which means he has not yet built one, or maybe has, but does not put it yet in the car. Bar's Nest says, looking forward to the best weekend of the year, No Name Nationals 2026. Man, I sure hope so. We got 264 days and 3 hours, 44 minutes to survive until we get there. And I'll tell you, some days are easier than others, are they not? Wow, Turbo Tom says, I'm thinking of bringing my brother's Model T. It is a backseat and better light. Your family has 2 Model Ts? I mean, that's, wow, the car that who in the world has 1? Y'all have 2. That's pretty cool. Cop Car Steve has 37 subs on his way to 500, talking to Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage and might try to beat him for a long haul award. Cop Car Steve, where are you coming from, man? If you're going to come from farther than him. Bar's Nest's first pass was at No Name Nationals. Yeah, a lot of people did that. My first pass in 3 years was there, and have I made one since those 3? I don't even know if I have. Maybe I can't remember. Cousin Cletus is in the house. Andrew Nelson articulates the reason his Nova is not legal for Triple Crown as it sits. He has spring sliders in the back, 1 1/4 inches inboard in the back. Front of the spring is stock location. The Camaro has the front frame horns cut off. Okay. Front frame horns, really. Well, it's their rules. Y'all figure it out. We'd like to see it. I don't know. Whatever y'all want to do, we'd like to see you there. Colleen says her first time down a real track was 2025 at 55 years old. Cop Car Steve's is 3 miles north of the border on the west coast. 4 hours north of Jamie, north of the border. So you're in Canadaville, huh? Wow. That'd be quite a haul. We've had Canadians. I don't think we've ever had anybody from quite that far before. The Night Wrencher came from San Diego. Be pretty close. Parquet suggests it's a good idea to test a car so you can drag race without having things break at No Name Nationals. Well, that is a good point. That is a good point. But, you know, rarely does that happen. And people have had mixed results. Some people get really good results. Some people don't. Some people show up, they break on the first pass because the car got done too late to get the testing done. And then some people get the car done. They literally drive it on the trailer and bring it and make a bunch of passes all day and don't break anything. That was Duddy's Adventures experience. So different people have had different results. Vintage Adventure Drives coming from work. We're glad to have you. So when you're watching at work, do you have like a TV in a break room? Are you watching on your phone? What's your go-to way to watch from work? So Turbo Tom, the Model T he's brought is a 16 model. His son has a hardtop 26 Model T. Huh. Cool. Evans Mopar says, it's time to sell off a few vehicles. Stay tuned. I'll be listing them soon and making a video. Maybe trade. 1 for 24 for 1 good one. Oh, wow, there you go. If it includes shipping, you probably get some takers on that, Scott. Wow. 1 or 24 for 1 good. Oh, my goodness. Now, this said, we're going to be doing something for Scott this year. We're going to make an organized effort to get him a little bit of relief for getting the vehicle here. So we're going to be doing that this year. So stick around for that. We want to make sure Scott has flown out every year. Scott is there on Sunday picking up trash on the ground after the event, trying to leave the track better than we ever found it. He's just a really good dude, and we want to help him get a car there. Ron English, Mr. Haney saying I ran it. Yes, I did. Made a pass in Haney. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I never knew that Night Wrencher ever showed up. Yeah, he sure did. Towed in, ran a rock crawler down the track. Yes, sir. We got people who have come from years past, and it is such a big commitment to travel that far that there's some people you just aren't going to see every year. But that said, we'd like to see a lot of the OGs come back in 2026, and he would certainly be one of them. SSR Performance says, this is my buddy's channel, and I'm talking him into joining the No Name 500 for this year. I'm his first sub today. Hey, I was 2Hacks Jeff's very first sub, so it starts with one for everybody, and he can do it. He can definitely do it. He's got time. He can do it. One-Eyed Cat said some will drag a car 900 miles and break the motor in on site. Some will. It's been done more than once. This is true. Mars Nest had one pass in 2024, and it was broken. Testing before is always good. It is, but if you can't, at least you got hundreds of friends to help. Buick Smith is asking if he wants to run the tailgate down. Does he have to make solid supports the tailgate cannot move? That's a good rule book question. It's a deep question right there. And you know what? I don't know off the top of my head. That's a good deep question, though. I don't know what's phenomenal Twisted Dennis, but good deal. Racer Ray says he hasn't broken anything at No Name National, surprisingly, but now he's jinxed. I don't know, man. You'd be testing fate to not break anything 5 years in a row on the toe down or on the track. But that said, hopefully you won't. RP Dynalo, should I refinance my house loan or just pay it off? Just pay it off. Pay it off. Scott does need a car there this year. I would agree. And we love Scott. Yes, we can make it happen. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Max Wedge Dick Dasher says, I've registered twice, never made it though. Well, I appreciate it. We'd love to have you there. Let's, what can we do to help? We'll help you get the subs. We'd like to have you there though. Lone Wrench Garage is officially registered. Did you register tonight? Let's see here. We've got a Lone Wrench Garage registration. Yes, we do. And got a banner. So just so you'll know, banners, I got to wait till the boys at the sign shop come back. I don't even know if they were there today, but I'm going to check on that on Monday. But we got you, man. So yes, Lone Ridge Garage is now registered too. Left Turn Dodge says, my wife was my first sub. She was Rapid Transit's 3,000th on Wednesday. Oh, so Jay cleared 3,000. Good deal. He was the second person to cross the line in the No Name 500, and he started with a lot fewer. RC Industry went from 450 to 500 and got there just before Jay, but Jay came from way down and got it. Jay's a hard worker, great attitude. Jay just gets it done. Indecisive Garage. Howdy, Tim. So how is the progress coming on the truck? I know you took it for chassis work and all of that. Where does all that stand? We want to see what happens with the truck this year. It's going to be exciting. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly made one pass last year and broke my engine in. Man, that's such a bummer. Mostly Mopar says this isn't too far from me, only 580 miles from Middle Georgia. Yeah, it's 600 for me, so that's about the same. Took a week off from work. There you go. So sounds like you're committed, and you'll get the subs. Heavens Mopar says, thanks everyone. The 70 Duster named Sweet Victory will be finished in there this year, one way or another. We're going to get it done. We'll help you. JB says he got his rotating assembly back today. Fingers crossed. It's all good. Yep. Yep. Dizzy Izzy, Happy New Year to all my No Name Nationals friends. Howdy, Dizzy. Wrong English is telling Dick Dastardly we'll get you there. Danny Boyd says the best partners to have in real estate are Mr. Free and Mr. Clear. I would agree with that. Dizzy registered about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, something like that. We got a lot of channels registered right now. Usually what happens is we have a big surge in January. Well, actually, even in December and January. And then it lulls down in the spring and summer. And then the middle of the summer, it starts trickling back in. We get the rest. It's typically how it works. But we've got a bunch registered right now. SSR, after the first year, we need to get a campaign for No Name Nationals awareness. Well, I would agree. The biggest part of that is each channel here. You know, tell your friends, hey, I'm registered for the No Name Nationals. This is what it is and where it is, because each of you know people I don't know. But I'm going to be doing things too. And sharing stuff that you guys make. I do plan to do a hard card mailer for it this year. Ooh, chat's moving fast. Village Adventure Drives wants to meet some people on the way. Yeah. I am not able to do that, but I get to meet everybody when I get there. That's just the way it goes. Indecisive Garage, expect it back in April, hopefully before then. Evans Mopars is looking forward to meeting him and looking forward to seeing his Duster. Lots of Dusters there this year. So not bringing the car in the thumbnail then. Let's see. Oh. Thumper says, I paid off my land and home. 2 years later, I had a blown Pontiac. Hint, hint. Yeah, I'm telling you. Get that stuff paid off. Oh. Got 2 little mortgages to get rid of and one of decent size. I'll get rid of it last. Levi says, I will register when I get the capital open to do so. Right now, I'm pumping money into savings and the projects I have, including a decent daily driver. Well, understood. Danny Boyd wore his No Name National shirt today while raking, blowing, and running over the yard with a lawnmower. Then the leaves in my yard. Even had my jacket off for a bit. I've run a mower for a couple of things in the last week or two. I mean, I mulched leaves with it. And then I brought it around, needed to give myself a jump start where I left my lights on. So a couple things I brought the mower driving. I'm sure people are like, what's this dude doing running a mower at Christmas time? But that's what it was. Thumper's been mentioning No Name Nationals, a small channel starting out. One has a Henry J. Gasser. Yeah, well, see, that's how you do it. That word of mouth is what's grown this community. Really, it has. Cop Car Steve is a brother-in-law in Memphis. How long is that in miles to the drag strip? It's not that far. One of you folks who lives in Memphis, how far is it? It really isn't. It's what, 2-hour drive? Wendy English, do you need a driver's license to race? Yes. Talking about a road trip from Dead Dodge Garage Jamie's house in the 73 Scamp. I've officially made a down payment on. Okay. That's a worthy trip. Sounds fun. Bigfoots and Mopars challenging everyone to make an intro video about your channel, what you're bringing, and who you're racing, even if you've all been to the No Name Nationals. That sounds like a great idea. Dizzy says the group is continually growing. Yes, it is. SSR likes the idea. I'll tell you what, Big James, he put on quite a clinic with his channel when he was getting his subs. I'm like, man, this guy's got it together. Good editing and everything, good plan, execution, all of that. So, I mean, I think his stuff helped boost. Everybody plays a part in this ecosystem. RP down low says, I feel real estate is the best investment towards your Mopar retirement. I sure hope so. I sure hope so. I got too much of it. Levi says, living debt-free is the most impactful, what's that word, that modern trendy word, most impactful personal investment you will ever make. I'll tell you what, it's probably true. Turbo Tom says, 1 whole year of not smoking, still don't feel any different. Well, I hope you feel okay before and after. Let's see. Thumper says Danny Boy can come up here and run around and mow in his T-shirt. Mow what? Grass under 2 feet of snow? Mohawk's asking, yeah, Mohawk in his, let's see if I can find that because he sent it to me. It was actually 2 or 3 people sent me that, Mohawk. So I know it wasn't just him. But when Mohawk sent me this, it has his top channels right here. And so I was his most watched, I guess because he watches this weekly. But who else had that? I think Mohawk, Lars might have been. I don't know. Mid-South Low Ballers in Memphis. He says the track's 2.5 hours away. So there you go. I knew somebody here would have a good reference on that. Barkley says 120 miles from Memphis. Hello, Barkley. Thanks for joining us. So there you go. Barkley confirms from one end. Mid-South Lowballer confirms from the other. Barkley, 1974. Barkley, you coming to No Name Nationals in 2026? You come put on a clinic again? Blue Grit Garage says Anna has signed up for 2 cars to No Name Nationals. A friend traveled and crewed on the SCCA road race crew. We have our content we're posting starting Monday. Can his car count as our second? If it's on your channel and incorporated into your channel, we want to get away from channel piggybacking. So it's just, it's got to be incorporated in your channel. That's the whole point. People should know who you are when you get there. Buick Smith's asking, does the car need to be registered for the street for the Triple Crown if trailered to the track? That is a Dallas and Professor P question. The Triple Crown rules are posted at nonamenationals.com. And that is where they are right now. The current rules are there for 2026. Wrong English has not had a credit card in years. Can't afford it, don't buy it. That is a good policy. The bad thing I have my printer here, I can get on that button too easy. Levi says, smart man. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Andrew Nelson says, come on, Mohawk. Where is Nivlac 57? I don't know where they were in there. They're there somewhere. Wrong English says, Barkley is the man. He impresses me. Barkley's an impressive guy. Yes, he is. He says he'll be there on Friday. Cool. So I'm guessing you're running the bracket on Friday? Racer Ray says it's supposed to make the drive to Lambert's. If that's in the rules, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that the rules are posted at NoNameNationals.com. You'll find them at the bottom of the page. There you can also find a really nice large-scale No Name Nationals logo. You'll find the monkey bike, 6-cylinder class rules, all of that there at the bottom of the page. And there is Clint's Street Machines. Well, how are you doing, Clint? And for those who don't know, this wild creation, the thumbnail, he actually has that. That thing needs to turn up at No Name Nationals. I'd like to see it. It is a real-life Hot Wheels car version of the Subaru Brat. Levi says, Ray, I wish that would make it the rule, but it's tough because not everyone can be there a day early. I guess for the Cruise of Lambert. Right, exactly. Right. So if you start making rules depending on, see, I mean, Thursday is a day we open tech, as a courtesy. I mean, people can still tech on Friday, but most people are there early, so we tech on Thursday. Barkley says, I think it's the same weekend as the Million again, so I'll be at both. What is September 24th, 5th, 6th? So if the Million moved back a weekend, then it will be the same. We are back a weekend from where we were last year because Holly and some other events moved all around and jumbled, so we did too a little bit. We always want to be in the second half of September somewhere. Second week, third week, fourth week, somewhere in there. Clint says, if plans go accordingly, I'll be back on that Brat soon. Cool. That thing's neat. That's a real head turner. I'd like to see that thing. I'd like to see you driving it. Barkley says, hoping to have the new truck out. Good deal. Mohawk says it showed up in my dashboard under my channel's year in review. Yeah, if you probably went to the expanded thing there. They're in there somewhere. Wrong English says the Brat was at No Name Nationals as an early concept car. Real head turner for everybody. Yeah, I agree. That thing was pretty wild to see. Yeah, I got a touch of a cold. It's not fun. This little bit of sniffing a little bit, it's not too bad. Not fun, though. Clint says, yeah, I wasn't sure if I would build it or not, but the response was great. I'm humbled. Yeah, it was a fun car. Like to see it again. Clint, what's the status on that S10 you have, that lowered S10? Because you've had two different concept vehicles there that still need to get rolling. T's Good Time Garage coming to us from Utah. How's it going, sir? T, what's your final four in the bracket going to be? If you get to make a bracket, what is it? Who do you have in there with you? Who are your other three in the final four of the bracket? You have any traditional favorites, any dark horses in there? Who's going to be the final four if you get to make the ladder? Blue Grit Garage says the Cushman was a wild concept car also. Yes, it was. The Cushman is a wild concept car. I took one look at that thing, and he says, I want to take this through tech. I said, well, as long as you have an understanding, this is just like for info. And he did. I said, we don't want to give Deke a stroke or anything. Clint says the S10's waiting on the new engine Dallas is building, and then it has a few kinks to work out. Would like to bring both to No Name Nationals 2026. Yeah, you definitely have the cool hardware. Everybody likes to see the stuff that you bring. And Clint, you would be a good candidate for that Frankenstein award that Frankenstein C20 has out there, and it's a traveling award, and Big Mike is the judge this year. And my understanding is that when someone wins that award, that person will judge it the next year. It's a traveling type award. So your stuff would be, especially that Brat, would probably be a good contender for that. I don't know whatever else will show up, but you might need to look into that. Hopefully Frankenstein C20 Les will get in the chat sometime. Clint says that Cushman was nuts. I wish I hadn't missed it at No Name Nationals. Yeah, it was off the hook. It was off the hook. It it had a lot of janky stuff, and William knew it. I mean, it's not like it was a secret, right? I mean, like, it had zip ties for throttle linkage and stuff, but he patched that thing together so that he could drive it in the pits, and that was the deal, right? So William did that, but he had no floor pan in it at all. I said, man, whatever you do, don't, break a sprag in this thing, right? So he said he's going to put a proper floor in it and that kind of thing. And anyway, yeah, but it's cool. He could drive it around. So he really took that from a concept of a three-wheeled Cushman, put a real front end in it. And, it was cooler than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be cool when I saw the build going, when they got the front frame and they got the springs in it, and the thing actually had a front end in it and all. That's when, before they got to that point, I'm like, I can't see it. But when they got there, I said, yeah, this is going to turn out pretty cool. And then it did. It was pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I rode in the Cushman. It was a wild experience. Let's not forget, he had I don't believe it was that Cushman, but he had a rescue Cushman when Jed ran out of gas for the group photo the first year, if I remember right. We've had 4 years now with so many different things that I'm having trouble keeping straight what happened in what year. So I need to really try to do a little better getting my history put together and all of that. So I need to do that because we've got a lot of history now, and the 5th annual is going to be a real milestone year for us. Clint said it was especially cool considering how fast he got it done. I don't know. I mean, he did it over a couple of years like a lot of people do. And, and so he'll continue to work on it. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of things, permanently buttoned up that he had contrived to make last year, but it's going to be good. I think he's bringing the Charger back for 2026. So, hey, it's whatever y'all bring. I mean, I'm glad to see whatever you want to bring, and glad to see all of you there. That's the point, right? Dean says William will bring the house down. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to try to avenge his first year burnout championship, but let me tell you, we got a lot of heavy hitters lining up for the burnout contest. So this is going to be a year to watch that. I'm predicting we're going to have a really off the hook burnout competition in 2026. If I had to pick the wildest burnout competition we've ever had, it would be the 2nd annual. We've always had a good one, but the 2nd annual was the most burn it to the ground, a lot of cars in there. Barkley, he can tell you there's never been more rubber deeper on that burnout pad than after the second year. And so I have a feeling the 5th annual is going to be a burnout competition to remember. And really, that goes for every event at the No Name Nationals. I can't imagine we're not going to have a fantastic bracket. We got the 3-pedal party, the 6-cylinder class, Triple Crown. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. The monkey bikes are coming back. And those things, let me tell you, if you haven't been paying attention, I don't think I want to know how quick those things are on the top end now. They are flying. Blue Grit Garage says the Cushman did have a high center of gravity. It could probably use a wider rear axle for stability. That Cushman was frightening. But I'm glad he's just building something out of his imagination. And it's a good thing that at the No Name Nationals, we just got a place for everybody. If you want to bracket race your daily or do call-outs in it, you can do that. If you've got a fire-breathing car, if you bring a 3-second Pro Mod, you can bring that too. Yes, you can. I mean, there's a place for everybody. T's Good Time Garage says, since his first No Name Nationals in 2023, I've always wanted to just Mopar Joe and T final. Maybe this year. Fall Fling looks to be after No Name National this year, so we'll have to be on our game for Barkley too. You always got to be on your game for Barkley. Barkley's an ace. And that 4th, we'll have to see how things shape up. Oh, so you're saying Barkley, Joe, you. Come on, make a prediction. Make a prediction on the 2nd of January. Who's that 4th? Go out on a limb now. Mohawk is saying, I wish I had a cryogenic chamber where I could go to sleep now and wake up on September 22nd, giving me a day or so to load up for the No Name Nationals. I'm ready now. Well, that makes exactly one of us. This was the hardest year of all of them to get ready for the No Name Nationals for me. Oh, my gosh, that knee had me so slowed down. It was horrible. It was just awful. But the knee is a lot better, and hopefully nothing bad will happen to it before next year, this upcoming year. Clint says it's a good point. You can't think of too many places we can bring concept cars this year. You can bring whatever there. I think it's great. Vintage Adventure Drives says, bold prediction here, I am winning the bracket race. So he is calling a shot right now. I'm going to save this. Who has anything to say about that? Cousin Cletus says, I'm doing a burnout build for the budget build competition. Burnout competition will be crazy this year. It promises to be off the hook. The Blue Collar Performance boys are already saying the only way that they won't win it is if we don't have it. And Busted Radio Chris says you're going to have to go through me. And we got all kinds of other guys who are saying, y'all forgetting. Y'all forgetting who've won this thing every year, right? Because neither of those guys have ever won it. So we've got, lots of people that could come out. The Hippie could come out. Russell from Outfits could come out. There's all kinds of people who know how to put on a show. Cousin Cletus is going to be in the pit. I predict he will make more tire smoke this year than last. So the burnout competition, I think, is going to be wild. Not taken from anything else. Levi says, you know who's winning Triple Crown? Brooke's going to have you covered, and she may. Thumper says 9-second bracket cars are kind of tough to beat. Clint's asking Mexican spec a bizarre import question. Well, that's right up his alley right there. Barkley says, I'll be there for the bracket race on Friday. Not sure what I'll be driving. Well, whatever it is, it's going to be a threat. So you guys, you better bring your A game. Barkley's in there. Hey, Barkley, can we get together ahead of time and put something together on the schedule officially for doing like a staging class, track walk for these guys, put something together for them? I think that'd be pretty cool if we could do it. It'd be very useful. And you are the ace at that, so it'd be cool if you could help us put that together. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I may bring out 2 scamps. That 6-cylinder bracket will be mine. Don't be too enthusiastic. The people who are super enthusiastic don't come back. No, I don't know. Tanner's going to bring a lot to the party. We'll see. He plans on bringing home a lot of hardware. Russell says, I've sure got to decide what I'm doing for this year. What are you leaning toward? Maybe that blue Mustang that you got from Alex, or I don't know. You've got lots of options. Later, Colleen, thanks for coming out tonight. Good to see you as always. Blue Brick Garage put metal in between the trunk and back seat in both the 66 and 67 Mustang to make them pass tech. Yeah, little buffer barrier for fire there. Barkley says, we will see who wins that bracket race. We will. Going to be competition. Joe's not going to three-peat if Barkley can help it. Well, it's not true. Back to back to back. Joe won the first and the fourth. Barkley wants to meet Joe again. So Barkley wants a rematch. Tell you what, man, that one was close. Oh, my, was that one ever close. It's rare that I'll go up to the top end like that, but I do for those brackets. I was right there at the boards for that one. Racer Ray says, just one Cinderella award and Tanner thinks he owns the world. Well, you got to respect the confidence, I guess. Mexican Spec says, I think Buff Del Campo will win in the 6-cylinder bracket with the turbo slant 6. Well, you never know. That 6-cylinder bracket's interesting. I don't know what we're going to have turn out for. It's going to be a healthy turnout, though, because it was a big crowd last year. Hot Rock Guy Garage Russell says, I've tossed around mixing up drivetrains between everything. If it can be done, you'll do it. You'll do it well. Mexican Spec says, I can't cross a parts truck. It has to drive across the board. It has to drive across the board. So that means you can't just put it on a trailer? Well, why would you not be able to bring a parts truck? Just curious. Max Wage says, I think 11-second bracket car is harder to beat. They're just fast enough that they don't break stuff all the time. They get more seat time. Indecisive Garage says, we have 3 trucks to prepare for the No Name Nationals. I'm bringing my oldest son to the channel to help me prepare the trucks. Cool. Wow, 3-truck fleet. Camp Indecisive Garage. That's going to be exciting. Tell you what, it's looking like we're going to have quite a turnout this year. Stock bulkhead on the early Mustangs or cardboard. Oh yeah. I guess that's the thing. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I have confidence in everything I do. Not only am I going to beat Thumper, I'm going to be the best looking guy coming to No Name Nationals. There you go. Lots of confidence and apparently really long waiters, apparently. Mexican Spec says, you can't find an engine there. There used to be Japanese pullouts cheap. This is true. You could get the JDM stuff, low mileage and cheap. And I think that's the craziest thing. Those people will take out a perfectly good running Honda engine, for example, with 60 to 80,000 miles. It's like there's some kind of shame in that and get rid of it. And here I got a CRV with 376,000 on it. I mean, it's never had anything done. Literally a valve cover gasket. I mean, and they take them. I don't get that at all. Barkley says, I let my guard down and Joe got me up front on the tree. Was a good straight up race. Indeed, it was a great race. It was a great race. So Barkley wants a repeat of that with a different outcome. But I'm telling you what, y'all made him work for it, so it's going to be good. Mexican Spec says it's the law over there. They have no choice. That just seems weird to me. You can't just trailer parts truck out. That's just weird to me. I don't know why. But, you know, there's all kind of laws I don't understand. Unfinished Project puts up the link for Left Turn Dodge and the Mid-South Lowballer. Thank you, sir. Dakota's time out. Says, howdy, folks. Dakota was asking me a question. See if y'all have any input on this. He wants to put a 360 in place of a 318 in the truck. Ask what he would need. I said, you definitely have to have the flex plate with the weight because 318s are neutral balance. You'll need the left side motor mount because it's narrower where it goes on the block. You'll need a truck oil pan if you don't already have one. And I can't really think offhand of anything else. Can you guys think anything offhand? Putting in a 360 in place for 318? Several of you in the chat would be a good one to ask that question. I mean, people like Left Turn Dodge, Vintage Adventure Drives. Dead Dodge Garage has a video on doing that swap. Yeah. Pretty common one. It's not bad at all. It's a really straightforward swap. Indirect Connection says, what year? What year what? He's doing it in 2026. No, I don't know. The 360 he's got looks to be early 80s because it's one of the later ones. It looks kind of more modern. It's got the intake off, so I can't really tell, but it's not a roller lifter block, so it's pre-85. Unfinished Project puts up the link to Mostly Mopar, and it looks like the link is functioning, so there you go. Mid-South Lowballer has a new video in the works if I can ever get the clips out of my phone. So, some hints. I don't know what kind of phone you have, but they make these little thumb drives just for taking video off your phone and putting it into your laptop or whatever. There's also this style, right? And they make them for USB and for USB-C and for Lightning. So whatever kind of phone you have. You can also get on the Wi-Fi and go to WeTransfer.com. And for free, you can send up to 2 gigs at a time. And that's another good way to get it from your phone to your computer. Or, of course, you can use the sync cable. But I have the least amount of success using the sync cable. I do better with either the USB or with WeTransfer. Or I'm sure you can Bluetooth it, but I've never had any luck with that with any computer I've ever owned. So if any of you sleuths out there are good with that, sure. There's lots of ways to do it. Pretty convenient, actually. All right. Let's go back over here. We got some input on this situation. Left Turn Dodge says you can buy an SFI flex plate that's balanced and not have to change the converter. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They make the flex plate that has that, whatever that ounce weight that is, in the right place and everything. So they make a conversion flex plate. Mexican Spec says the law in Japan, they have to change their engines to control smog on the islands. Okay. Yeah, that's just strange to me. Wow. I don't doubt it. Japan's got a pretty authoritarian culture. They'll tear down a house, a perfectly good house, and build another one. Like, they don't live in a 50-year-old house. And I don't know why that is. A friend of mine who's a lawyer lived over there for 11 years. And he was telling me some of the customs they have and stuff like that. It's just wild. And he actually hear about, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, something like that. He moved back over there. I think he still lives over there now. So it's neat because to see him, you would never expect. You just see this guy walking around, get a call on his cell phone, speaks fluent Japanese. Blue Grit says, I believe they can't register the cars after a few years in Japan due to emissions. So to make a few bucks, they export the non-compliant engines and junk the car. That's ridiculous. I mean, how much emissions do you make having to manufacture all that stuff constantly? And how bad are the emissions of a 60,000-mile engine anyway? It's crazy. Dakota says, I ordered a flex plate from O'Reilly's, but I'm not sure if it will have the weight like you're talking about. Yeah, and I don't know that it has to have the weight. I think some of them are just have a section removed. I think, because remember the ring gear for the starter is on the torque converter. So the flex plate, of course, it doesn't have to be round. So some of them I think have, are weighted just for that application. Mid-South Lowballer says it's an iPhone 15 Pro, but I've decided to use a Blackmagic cam. Well, if you got the camera, then you should have like a card or something, a USB, SD, something like that to go straight to your computer. Anyway, there's lots of good ways to do it. Left Turn Dodge uses VN and edit on his phone, then upload from the phone to YouTube. That's, there's always ways to do it. Always a bunch of ways to do it. Racer Ray transfers with the Google Drive cloud. Like I said, there's a bunch of ways to do it. None of them are wrong. A bunch of ways to do it. The only thing I don't like doing is trying to use them like I've seen people literally upload them to YouTube and then re-download them from YouTube. The problem with that is you lose whatever gets lost in translation doing it that way. Every other way, pretty much, you don't lose anything. But I mean, that's better than not having them at all. Indecisive Garage says I may be open to let somebody compete with one of my trucks in the event they break during competition. So there you go. It might be a possibility. The caveat is probably more the who than the what. Look at this. Jay, our friend Jay, to the rescue. Exactly what I'm talking about. Weighted flex plate right there for that external balance. Thank you, sir. Jay's good like that. Indirect Connection suggested he wants to get rid of his 4 speeds in favor of an automatic. Clint says Japan has a lot of laws that make them very expensive to keep long term. That's why there's so many cars parted out in perfect condition. You're not allowed to drive a car with body damage. Oh my gosh. I could never live there. I could never live there. I have a friend of mine who thinks that place is great. I could never live there. It's not about emissions. It's about money, taxes, taxing. Totally agree. Totally agree. That I can do. In fact, I usually see if I can do this, how well I can do this real time. Done. Just like that. Dakota, you've got Tanner's number. Turbo Tom says new Mopar 1.6 liter are numbered backwards. Number 1 is at the flywheel. What a horrible idea that is. You take something that people are so used to and so universal on every car, and then you change it just to mess people up. It's that kind of stuff right there. Vintage Adventure Drive says, nope. I love having all 3 pedals. I get that. The only time I have ever even questioned that in my life was with that knee swollen up. I'm like, I couldn't drive a manual transmission now. If I really had to, I could make something happen. But it's like, if something's on fire or I got an arm cut off, I got to get to the hospital. I could do it then. But otherwise, no. Yep, that was the exact flex plate I have in storage. Yeah. That's a good piece for doing that. Wrong English says 264 days, 2 hours, 56 minutes. Yes, indeed. Left Turn Dodge does not like the Fiat merger. Dodge has been gone since the early 90s. Yeah, I mean, the whole Diamond Star Motors and the Fiat thing and all this stuff. The soul of the Mopar has just faded away and all that modern stuff. I love that all the old stuff is still there, though. I mean, it is strong as ever, but the new stuff doesn't do it. I'm in South Lowball or lived in LA, and in that traffic, I appreciated the automatic. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you get your technique down with manual transmission, that kind of traffic. You get to where you're always watching ahead. Don't move up too soon. Know how low you can creep in first. You figure all that out so that you can better manage a manual transmission in that kind of traffic. I mean, you get good at it, but it's easier to have an automatic for sure. Vintage Adventure Drive says my town has 6,500 people in it. I rarely have to deal with traffic. Yeah. My hometown's about 4,500. So your hometown 6,500. How big is the metro area? Or is that one town in the middle of nowhere? Or are you part of the Oklahoma City metro area? Because that changes everything. Manual transmissions make people pay attention. That's a pretty good case to be made for that. Sure is. Well, I'll tell you what, they do make people be drivers. We have a whole lot of people who are riders in the driver's seat. That's no good, right? We have tons of them out there. We have a generation of them out there, and we got a bunch more from generations before them. They are passengers in the driver's seat. And you know exactly what I mean by that. They have never been more checked out. They are riding in the driver's seat. You cannot be that way with a manual transmission. So you must be an actual driver to drive a manual transmission. We have changed a lot as a culture with that. There's hardly anything available manual anymore, and for good reason. I still like them, and I really like them in anything that's light and nimble. Anything. So if it's under 3,000 pounds, I pretty much definitely want a manual in it. If it's something light like that. For heavier stuff, especially like a heavy truck or something you're backing up to a trailer with all the time and that kind of stuff, automatics make more sense in those cases. They just do. But stuff that's light and nimble, manual all day, every day, all the way. I had an factory automatic in the 89 Hyundai Excel. I took my driver's test in, and my dad got that with an automatic. So because mom didn't like driving the manual transmission of the 85 Ford Escort too much. And she could drive it, but she wasn't a fan. She wanted an automatic. So he got her that. And I remember driving it, and it was abysmal, man. First of all, the whole thing was like 68 horsepower. And so you had one gear first that had to be really low because the thing made no torque. It was only 2,700 pounds, but you had no torque. And then you had one gear that wasn't even 1-to-1. The automatic, I think it was like 1.1-to-1, and it had a 3-something rear differential in it. So you were 4,050 RPM in high gear on the interstate of 70. 4,050 at 70. Well, I took that out. I don't know how old I was. I was in my early 20s, maybe. I took that out and I converted it to a 4-speed manual. So much better for that car. Gosh, it was so much better. The hardest part of the whole swap is that the master cylinder on a Hyundai Excel is on the passenger side. And so the brake pedal has this long hollow rod that goes under the dash behind all of that stuff to the other side. Wasn't too bad to change, but it was kind of interesting. I had to finagle it out of there because I had to change the brake pedal to put in the narrow brake pedal. So I couldn't believe it when I looked up under there and saw that, but it wasn't bad. It was really not a bad car to swap. They made it very modular. The hardest to deal with part was a little spacer that goes on the firewheel for the clutch cable. And believe it or not, I made it out of wood and I ran it that way. I had one split on me. I'm like, well, this is terrible. I made another one. I just used a hole saw that was the right size, and kept the part I kept the hole. I wasn't drilling a hole in something forward. I kept the hole I drilled out with the hole saw and just drilled the hole out a little bit bigger on the inside. So I made another one, put a hose clamp around it, never broke another one. Ran it that way for years and years and years. because the factory used this little standoff piece of metal, and I found one at the yard, but it was spot welded to the firewall. I couldn't deal with it. So today I would. Today I'd take a cordless drill, a hole saw, drill bit, and the whole thing, and weld it back. But I wasn't as sophisticated then, I guess you could say. Danny Boy says metro areas suck. Yes, they do. Thumper's asking Racer Ray how many people live in York. I thought he was asking how many people lived in New York. Racer Ray says, I got you beat. My town had 29 citizens. Wow. Mohawk says it's a lot of fun to be in an 18-wheeler with a 13 speed downtown LA, 2 blocks from the entrance to LAX. Did I say fun? It's not. No, that sounds horrible. My only experience really with LAX, I flew in there one time for a training class years ago. And I remember thinking, I just saw it on my, itinerary, I said, okay, we'll do the stop in LAX. I wasn't. The worst part about when you travel with firearms is, and I had a big old case full of rifles and pistols and stuff. You can't really claim your bag when you're in a state like that because it's jeopardy to get back on the plane. So if you're going to be there, you want to make sure that you don't claim your bag and it stays in the luggage hole so you can go. You would never do it at a place like JFK or something like that. In fact, I would never even fly in there with guns. But LAX is not the best. You really would rather be in Nevada, like at McCarran, where they wouldn't care, or you would rather be, somewhere else. But I'm like, well, this made sense flying to Oregon that way. So I did it. I said, well, I'll get to see the tarmac from the movie Speed, where they filmed all that crazy stuff with the buses. And I did for about 8 hours. I got there and something caused a delay on the flight going out. And I just remember sitting at this big, long bar that had a bunch of little charging things for your phone, which is pretty nice. But I sat there and so many people were just all just like this, just asleep on this thing. 8 hours of sitting there looking at the tarmac where they filmed Speed. I'm like, well, it's pretty cool. I didn't plan to look at it that long, but we could have at least had a watch party or something if we were never going to be stuck there that long. Oh, and that is the most blah airport, too. Oh, my gosh. That airport is nothing in that airport. It is so blah. Ugh. I mean, one of the more fun ones, though, it wasn't a real big airport, but a fun one was at Reno. Reno had, it was like a ski lodge theme in there. It's kind of neat. Smaller airport, but it was neat in there. I liked it. Liked the decor. Anyway, I don't think I've flown since then. Can't remember. No, I flew one time since then. Had to be in LA for a class. That's the last time I flew. Yeah, that's the last time I flew. It was like 2018 or something. Anyway. Left Turn Dodge, his last count, the town I live nearest has 14 people. Okay. That's huge. Racer Ray says, that isn't all bad. No, it isn't all bad. I don't think I need another neighbor as long as I live. I have good neighbors, but I mean, I feel like I got one more move left in me. And when I make that one more move left in me, I just want to be on a few acres and have room for my junk and no one close. That'll be fine. I'm telling you, I almost did it in 2019 and I didn't do it. And if I had known what was coming with the COVID and the real estate prices and all of that stuff, if I knew what was coming in 2020, I would have done it. Especially knowing, wouldn't have dad after 2021, I would have done it. But not knowing what 2020, 2021 would hold in 2019, I didn't do it. And I should have done it. Because that property was perfect for me. Dakota says, I just want an old house trailer and a lot of old cars. I'll tell you something I'm thinking about. I don't think I can do it. Here's the problem. I think the little municipal weenie nitty, people will. I would love to do this in my backyard if I can get away with it, but I'm sure I can't. 2 Connex boxes with that roof is made for those. It's designed for. They sell them for that. I didn't know they did. I've seen people make that stuff before. I've never seen a company actually make a kit like that. It's designed for putting on those boxes. If I could do that, I doubt they let me do that here in town. But if I could, I think I'd do it. I know exactly where I'd put it too, but I don't think they let me. I need to expand here. I either need to expand or I need to do down the street to sell me that garage. I got a good place there to do it. It's okay. Where I really need to, behind my garage, I even bought some land so I could get it 32 to 35 feet more shop in there. Problem with that is I got to take out a bunch of big pine trees to do it. I don't know. I know as soon as I commit to all of that mess and expense and all that stuff, this property down the street will be up for sale. I know. I should know that'll happen. Mid-South Lowballer says, this talk of airports, if you want pointers on transportation for Dead Dodge Garage, let me know. I can only give you pointers really on how to fly with guns. That's something I do know a good bit about. Other than that, I'm sure everybody else probably flown more than I have. One on Cat says, I'm to the point I wish my garage was bigger than the house. 100%. I would be just fine with a 5,000 square foot garage and a 500 square foot house, I think. I mean, really. Unfinished project says, with no end walls, everything inside will be wet or snow covered. Yeah. I mean, this is always janky things you'd kind of improve upon over time. I agree. I don't know. I may just do a metal building, but what I'm really afraid of with that is you see these dirt cheap prices and you know that they just climb and climb and climb and this and that. And you just know that you're going to have 3 times into what they say. You just have to. Dakota says he knew an 80-year-old man that didn't have running water and was happy as anybody. They keep increasing the rate on water here. I'm going to be without water. It's to the point it's like, man, you people are nuts. I know full well the reason they won't let people drill wells in town is just they don't want the competition. It's crazy. Of course, I say that. Nobody is going to want to pay for it. You can tell Dakota. Mohawk says you can tell Dakota's from the South. Yes, you can. He's the real deal. Dakota, did you say you've never flown before? I couldn't catch it up there. RV inside a pole barn? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got to tell you, the roof on this thing is just way too high to really, you'd have to do something there. And of course, heating it would be just impossible. Dougster says, the Dougster Dream Shop is a little shop just enough to keep my stuff dry and enough space to work on my projects. 160 feet by 300 feet with 16-foot doors. Go with that. I've got one under contract right now that I listed, 4,300 square feet. 12-foot door, concrete, a wonderful shop. It's just where it is. I could have sold it for 2.5 times that here in a week, and there is on the market for what it was. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Needs to be that high to have the hoist in there. Yeah, I guess. I agree with that, but still, and I like having a high ceiling in a work area like that. Nothing's worse than a place has too low a ceiling like that. It just bugs me. Thumper says, I'm sitting in my container house right now. Yeah. Dakota's never been on a plane. Well, you should. It's fun. It's fun. I like takeoff. That's my favorite part is takeoff. Clint says at least the Connex setup keeps the cars off the dirt. I'd be happy to have more concrete. Yeah, you know, my cousin and I were talking about these Connex box deals, and he said he won't do it because they leak. I get it. You know, you're always going to be fighting something, right? But yeah, I don't know. There's nothing I really want to get up on and maintenance a bunch, though. But Racer Races, the first time I rode the jet was 2009. The last time I rode the jet was 2009. Russell tried to fly once, but realized having no wings is a disadvantage. Yeah, I can see that. Danny Boyd says if you see him in a helicopter, he'll be strapped to a gurney. Only way I'm going. I've ridden in a helicopter. It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's really great flying over the beach in a helicopter. It's great. It's a great ride. Took my folks on a helicopter ride over the beach once. The funny part is we go to board the thing, and they need to know the weights of the passengers. And my mom's like, I'm not going to do that. She got on there, and Dad was looking to see it, was teasing her about it. Whatever. It was funny. And they will weigh you too when you go parasailing, because I believe the weight on the, I want to say the weight limit on the parasail is like 450. So any combination of humans could get on it, but it can't be over 450 pounds. So. Culture in Redneck Garages. I've listened to this program in a plane from 30,000 feet. Okay, so how did you get your Wi-Fi up there? Were you using plane Wi-Fi for that? Just curious. I've never had data like that before. I'm thinking some of them do it. Duxter says, my friend's shop had a hoist with low ceilings. We would wrench on cars sitting on office chairs. It worked kind of. Yeah, I really don't want to do that. I have seen that before where people will put a lift in. They'll have a low ceiling, and they just can't raise it all the way. Ugh, yuck. It bugs me. And then you can't really get under. I don't know. I guess that really is still better than just tall jack stands and all that stuff, but the station where I get my inspection stickers in Scenic Falls Mills, Virginia. Yeehaw. Shout out to Leedy's Garage. Good folks over there. They have he had an old single post lift in the floor. Like from forever ago. We're talking probably the 50s. And I've never seen it function, I don't think. And then he's got one of those little scissors lift, his little mid-rise scissors lift. That's all he uses. He runs a commercial shop. Left turn Dodge has flown quite a few times, only paid the first time, then it was all work trips. Yeah. I've gotten kind of a little bit of free airfare, but not much. Most of mine, I got to bite the bullet and pay it. Mean Street Mopar, hello. Unfinished Project picks up the link to Danny Boyd if you want to check out his channel. Mohawk says 14 hours over the Atlantic at 30,000 feet at night sucked. Couldn't see anything but the moon reflecting off the black water below. Yeah, I guess so. 14 hours over the Atlantic. Oh, my. Yeah, I'll tell you, those long plane trips, you're you're never wanting to stay on the plane and hang out. You're never like, oh man, the ride was over too soon. I've never flown like transatlantic or anything like that. I've flown across the country. Yeah, nothing like that. I wouldn't mind doing it though. No leverage sitting in a chair. Nope. You're definitely running air or electric impacts. That's for sure. You're not pulling on breaker bars sitting in a chair. Probably not anyway. Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn. Glad you're here. Yep, Big Mike's Hoopty Barn. Scott says, my garage isn't tall enough to use a rotisserie in it. Bummer. So much for that dream. But thanks for having a garage finally. I got to tell you, man, the rotisserie thing, I actually have one. I don't. They are not all they're cracked up to be. I would not want to do that job of rotisserie. But Main Street Mopar says he's never been on a plane or a helicopter. Y'all got to change that. At least take a helicopter ride. Y'all can manage that one. Nice thing, a lot of places where you take helicopter rides, you don't have to deal with any of that TSA stuff or that security or anything. Buffdale Campo says, I have thousands of hours in the pilot seat. I don't fly anymore. So we've got both extremes in the chat. Johnny C. brings up a good point here. He says, what about an old-fashioned pit? I noticed those in old farm. I think a pit is great. The only couple bad things about a pit is if anything runs in it. And the pit, if you have, like ozone or anything toxic in the air, it can accumulate low in that pit, anything heavier than air. So you want to be mindful of that. But pits are good. They do work. They don't get you much in a way when you take off suspension, chassis parts, stuff like that, because obviously the pit is smaller than where you drive across the pit. So are they good for oil changes, transmission service? Yes, they're good for exhaust because the car's sitting on its wheels for the exhaust. But so pits are good, and you get what you pay for with them, I guess. And one thing bad about a pit is you can fall in the pit. And you can fall off a lift too. So I guess everything's got pluses and minuses. Dougie says, my high school auto shop was brand new in 73. It had 3 single posts lifting the floor and a double post. It had the axle cradle and the front suspension cradle. Also had a floor rear wheel dyno. Yes. And you know, the auto shop where I took Auto Tech there, it had a chassis dyno, but it was non-functional before I got there. They had used it a couple years before. And I'm like, oh man, what a bummer. We were bummed out. So we never got to use it. Barrows is here. Hello, sir. Levi said a garage can be overrated, but not in this world. Maybe the next. It can't stop you from doing work, but can slow you down. I got to tell you, yeah, I prefer working outside. I like working. My favorite place to work on a car, believe it or not, I got a big flat patio behind the house next to the garage. That there is nowhere better to work. I like working right there. I've done so many jobs there. In fact, it's big enough for 2 cars. I got the Dart Sport on it, doing the front end, and then I got in front of it clear, and that's where I bring in, like, I'm going to put a couple tires on the CRV pretty soon. I'm going to put it right back there, do them, so forth and so on. Steve of LSS Drone, what's happening, man? He says hello to John and everyone. Good to see you. Happy New Year, Steve. There's a guy who's used to lifts and tires and all kinds of things. Thumper says he built his shop with 12-foot walls. His lift goes up 72 inches. He's 5'8", so he can stand up under all my vehicles. Oh, excellent. What kind of lift is that, Thumper? Racer says, have you seen the new hoop-type rotisserie? I've got an old-school rotisserie. Never really used it. Big Mike says, JMJ, Just Mopar Joe's brother Drew, there's Joe, is a pilot. Yep, I've seen them out flying. That's just a smart, talented duo right there. Racer Ray grew up in a pit shop. Yeah. Left Turn Dodge used to work in a truck shop with a pit, causes more problems than it solves. Yeah, exactly. Those things have their minuses. They sure can. Levi says, once my fingers are below 35 degrees, I'm useless. Once the weather is below 35 degrees, I am useless. I hate the cold. I hate it. Hate it. The one-eyed cat says he used to crew for an SCCA friend. We got pulled over for speed. The cop asked if he had a pilot's license. He offered that to the cop. We got a warning. I'm waiting for a cop to ask me if I'm licensed to drive. If I get stopped for speed, are you licensed to drive that fast? Well, I do have a competition license, but I don't know if he would think that's very funny. Thanks for stopping in, Steve. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Unfinished Project says the problem is most of the time that I get time to work on things, it's when there's inclement weather. Yeah, I can see that. I tell you what, it would just be a dream to have a big, spacious, heated shop, and just be able to work and have, it'd be so great. So when the weather is just horrible, you can just go in there and work in peace. It'd be so nice. I've never had that in my life. Barrow says pits are good for setting suspension, pinion angle, caster. Yeah, exactly. They are good for those things. Good for exhaust too, for the most part, because the suspension stays loaded, which it needs to be to run the pipe. But they're like a drive-on lift. But yeah, pits are good for those things. You're right. But a drive-in lift really can do everything the pit can do. It kind of do it better when you think about it. Racer Races. Thumper spent a fair amount of time in the pit at Dad's shop. Thumper says, my brother that flies helicopters has a garage mahal and it's filled with Mopars and RC airplanes. And I hate him too. Okay. Hope that's not literal. Heavens Mopar Scott says, I've worked outside my whole life until now. Still do. Have the long-term projects in there. But once winter comes, I gain back 6 months of the year. I can still work on them. I don't know what it is. I am just way too miserable in the cold. Some people just have so much more tolerance for the cold than what I do. I really don't. But that said, I've got the tolerance for heat that a lot of people don't. I can go outside and work in 100-degree heat and just be happy as a clam. I'm good, right? I mean, yeah, you can't lay like a socket on black paint and pick it up in the sun because it'll be too hot to touch. But that said, I can deal with that. I'm fine working in the heat. I'm fine. Big jug of water, stay hydrated. It's all good. But some people are like, oh, no, I'd rather work in the winter than that. I hate the heat. I'm the opposite. So everybody's different. Now, these guys right here, like from Wisconsin, Left Turn Dodge, see, those guys, they'll go out and work they'll get out and work in the freezing cold and be happy. Oh, man, not me. Dougster says the kid was fine. He did a mucho burnout contest, floor slammed in a teacher's office, and ended up in the wood shop. Oh, wow. That's got to be great. That's got to be great. Ginger wants CRT stickers. Well, cool. You just won 2. How about that? Left Turn Dodge struggles in the hot sun with humidity. See, I'm good with it. I'm fine with it. I am just fine with it. If you're sweating too much, just put a hat on and go there. I mean, would I rather it be 70 than 95 or 100? Yeah, probably, but it really doesn't get too hot for me to work. Doctor says, thankfully, there wasn't a class happening in the wood shop. Heavens Mopars, I'd rather have a wrench burn my hands in the summer than have it stick to it in the winter. You make a good point. You do. You make a good point. You can have a wrench burn you pretty good. You get mindful of that. See, the first really hot day you work of the year, you forget about it. And then you start thinking about it the second or third day and start making sure your tools stay in the shade under the car. But you forget about it when it first gets like that. Buffalo Campo says, lived in Yuma, Arizona for 15 years. Anything under 80, and I start to worry about cold weather coming my way. Yeah, it's all relative, isn't it? Ron's going out in the tundra tomorrow. We'll see you. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you, as always. Levi says, crank up the heat and get the metal hot. Wise words from a wise man. Probably this man right here. Barrows says, growing up, we had an irrigation ditch in the front yard, made a hillbilly pit. You had to hurry before the neighbors opened the head gate. Okay, makes sense. Good night. Thanks for coming by. Busted Radio Garage is here. Howdy, Chris. Calling her today. What's the word? Well, the bird is the word. How about that? Indecisive Garage is the highest temp he's seen in the last week was 18, and it's currently 6. Makes you appreciate warm weather. Yeah, I mean, I guess after we have a few really cold days in the single digits and stuff, it's once it comes back up to freezing, we don't feel as cold anymore. But it gets really nasty like that, we get spoiled on it, don't we? Racer races, I have a bit of trouble with the summer heat. I often end up working in a field of tall corn with no wind. Yeah, see, I never even thought about that. You guys got that to deal with. This is true. No wind. That's true. Yeah, gosh, you got corn 7, 8 feet high. You don't get any breeze, do you? Dougster says he'll bring a torpedo heater and 2 of every tool when wrenching outside in the snow and cold. Can't wear gloves and a wrench. Yeah, which is true. I've never been good at that. I know mechanics who get so used to wearing the latex gloves to work. Man, I just never took a liking to that. Never did. But the torpedo heater sounds good if you have to. I just really hate it. I try to get all of my emergency maintenance, not emergency, obviously, my overdue maintenance, my deferred maintenance done by Thanksgiving because I know I'm not going to want to do it after that. Obviously, emergency stuff you got to do. You got a tire blown out or something, and you got something break in the middle of January, you got to do it in the middle of January. But that window of good working weather, from Halloween to Thanksgiving, if it's deferred, I try to just rock on and knock it out then. Big Mike says, I'm still diligently cleaning and sorting out everything in the Hoopty barn. I'm nearly finished with the front portion. That's a great project you've got going there, Mike. I need to really consolidate and get some stuff done. And I got too many just loose ends from the folks and stuff like that, and just too many loose ends. I need to get all that tied up, and I probably have one more move in because they're going to develop some acreage, around this neighborhood. I probably need to just move, but I missed my window. I had a really good opportunity in 2019 and didn't take it. And if I had known, known then, would have known now, would have done it. But we don't get that. I mean, we're talking a 4,500 square foot brick ranch on 20 really nice 20 acres just outside of town with what was that? A 55 by 28 building with 3 14-foot power doors, concrete, $350,000. And that was 2019. And that same property has now sold twice. The last time it went for over $700,000. So I wish I got a do-over on that? Yes, I do. Dougie says, I hated having to kick the plow trucks in the butt in the field while trying to keep the crew plowing. I guess so. Heavens Mopars, I never could wear gloves working on cars. Me neither. I just can't. I feel like I got a hand missing. I just can't. I could probably work ridges with my feet better than I could hands with gloves. Unfinished projects is I have 5 new tires that aren't made anymore on the way for the 71 Custom. You must have Cooper Cobras, right? Or no, you have the BF Goodrich. Is that what it is? I know what tire is not made. I know what you're talking about. Dakota says your real estate sure to find something. Well, yeah, I get that. It's the prices. I mean, that was one that I listed, and I knew I was going to list it a couple months before I did. And I was really thinking about it because it was a perfect setup because it had an apartment and it had this old house. And all I needed was a little apartment to go with it and the shop. And I was going to just do that. Folks could have it. I mean, gosh, the place was just enormous, right? But it really needed a kitchen remodel. And I really would have wanted to do that for my mom. And then Dad driving around, he just was past being able to drive out the country and get on the highways and stuff. So I didn't want that. And I passed on it. So I wound up listing it. But it's like, it would have been perfect. But that's okay. Time moves on. But let me tell you, I still think to this day how great a place for building cars and making content that place was. You had that big old gigantic shop and this really nice graded gravel area in front of them, because what they would do is they would pull in there with this big fifth wheel camper, and it was big enough you could pull a whole circle, to drive back out. Well, that big old circle was completely flat and gravel, and the driveway was really flat and compacted and very light gravel. It was very smooth. It was in the entry and the privacy. All of it was just great. He even had a little pistol range on the back. But anyway, it didn't happen. Doesn't matter. All right. Steve says, I'm 51 away from 500. Can anybody help? Well, if you've not yet checked out LSS Drone's channel, please do check it out. See if he earns your sub. He's got some cool content on there. Check it out. He really has some neat drone stuff on there. That is worth checking it out for alone. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Levi says, Dave Ramsey says, marry the house, date the rate. And buy when you can. Not clear instructions, but helpful tip. Yeah, it is. But I will just say, I just need to make one more move and get in the right house with the right land and all for my junk and my lifestyle. It's really what I need to do. So he's right. You commit to the house. The rate you can change if you need to, which is true. Buy when you can, rent till you can. All of that, I get it. It all makes sense. But I just did it the crazy way and just started buying stuff really young and got a bunch of junk. And anyway, I will tell you, though, in 2026, I've got to get some stuff done. I got one I got to get rented. I got one I really want to just get sold because it's too far out of my footprint. I love the lot, but I will not let myself talk myself into the dumb idea of building a building on it. So, no. And if I can get one rented, one sold, and then there's another one. Cash is good. I may do a Hail Mary and try to get it rented, but that's a little bit of a stretch. But one of them rented, one of them sold in 2026. That's going to change the landscape and probably help me get back on some car projects. Because I would feel really guilty going out here and spending a couple of days on a car project when I know I should be taking that time and putting in a house project. Dougster says Dave Ramsey is the man. He is. He runs a good program over there. And I will just, for whatever it's worth, I won't get any kickback or anything. If you guys haven't heard of Dave Ramsey, go over to his website, go over to his YouTube channel, Ramsey Solutions, Ramsey Show Highlights especially. And just binge those clips. People call him for financial advice. He gives very good conservative but sound financial advice. There's people all over the spectrum, the way they talk about it with different levels of risks or whatever. I'm more closely philosophically aligned with him, as I know Levi is, and a lot of folks in the chat here are also. I can recommend what he teaches. He teaches good stuff. Dakota says, nothing you can do about it now, but you would have known ahead of time. You could have also bought 100 second-gen Chargers and Richard and Elon Musk. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. A lot of things like that. We just don't know. If only we knew the future, right? Boosted Designs. Hello, sir. Leighton. Well. What do we have here? We have a big gathering of folks who are probably planning to be at the party in Sykeston in September. I hope you are too. I hope you will be at the No Name Nationals, sir. Junkyard D says, evening, JW in the chat. Hello, sir. I bet it's nice and warm where you are in North Dakota, assuming you're at home in North Dakota. Lunar Outlaw, howdy, Brian. I keep this here. I'm telling you, I got a place I want to put it in the garage, but I like having it here, and I show it off live every now and then. This is too convenient to have here because I have carburetors in here, and I got this place to put stuff right on the top. But I keep it right here. I just can't move it. But anyway, Lunar Outlaw's car buddy. This thing is really growing on me, by the way. When I get back outside and I'm working on a project outside, I'll take it out with me, but I like having it in the shop in here too much. There is a discount code down below in the video description. You can get a discount at Lunar Outlaws Garage's shop there for the car buddy. So check it out. It's for the No Name Nationals community. Again, we just pass it right on to you guys. So Steve's channel is hard to find. Yeah, if one of the mods wouldn't mind, put up the link to Steve's channel there, LSS Drone. Sometimes their channels are hard to find from their handle, but if one of the mods would put up the link, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you in advance. Unfinished Project said if I had 100 Chargers, I'd want 100 more. He'd have almost enough to recreate the Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, Dakota would too. I got to tell you, my favorite one, though, as much as I like the Dukes of Hazzard, I've read about it. I've studied it. We've had Tom Sarmento, Travis Bell on the show. I like it. But my dream Charger would be like the one from Bullet. Like a dark blue or a really dark green, 68. That's my favorite. A 68 Charger. Dark green. That'd be my jam right there. But I got to tell you, if I'm being truthful here, I prefer the interior of the Satellite, Roadrunner, Coronet, Super B. I prefer that interior better than the Charger. The Charger's definitely more upscale, no doubt about that. But it's weird, right? It's weird. Oh, and nothing's weirder than the 67, 66 Charger, like dashboard. Vintage Venture Drive says, I think I'm going to buy a house my buddy is selling. It's not the best, but it has a shop with a concrete floor and it's affordable. Buy young. Real estate's a good place to park your money. Try to do it with a 15, 20-year loan if you can, 15 if you can, because it'll force you to get that thing paid off early and head off a whole bunch of interest. If you buy a house that's about $400,000 with about a 6% down payment, you're going to pay about $1 million for the house, right? If you do it in 15, but then you continue to pay that same payment that you made on 15 for the next 15, you'll not only have the house free and clear with all that it's worth, which you would have on the 30, but you will also have about $2 million if the market average. Now, I told that to somebody who bought a house a couple of years ago for $407,000. They did not do it. But it's the difference between being a millionaire and a multimillionaire, and it takes the same payment. Leighton, the Boosted Design says, I'm going to be in Sykeston tomorrow. Oh, cool. Oh, that's that race where they, that no prep stuff where they race to the top end. I've seen that they do that. Junkyard D says, I see lots with foundations that never get completed. Are there any regulations to look out for in buying someone else's unfinished project? The one thing I would check to make sure if it's an unfinished project is I would check with the municipality to make sure it's not condemned. Just as a catch-all, I would do that. And of course, I would want to check the title thoroughly, make sure there's no mechanics liens. You want to make sure there's a lot of reasons why it might be unfinished. So if I was buying an unfinished project, regardless of what the seller says, I would first check with the municipality. I would do my title search right up front with the sales contract, which you should anyway, but in this case, I would probably order my title right up front and make sure your home inspection is a void only. That will be my recommendation in general, because it's not a situation where you want the seller making repairs. If they didn't finish the house, you don't want them to be in charge of anything like that. So do a void only home inspection. Give yourself, 5 days, something like that, maybe 10. Have the inspector of your choice come out, and then make it to where you can walk away and put the receiving your deposit back in the contract so that you can walk away if it's not to your satisfaction. I would do the contract. I would do that inspection right up front, have your title right behind it. And then you have all the time, whatever. If you're doing a loan, it's going to have to be a portfolio loan with the bank, because a secondary market loan is never going to lend on an unfinished house. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of real estate info I would make recommendations if you're buying an unfinished house. And if you want to do all that, awesome. Post it on your channel. We'd like to see it. Not yet. That property, I'm telling you, man, not yet. You want to buy it? Dakota says, I put 10% in the 401k, so maybe I'll have a house trailer and a 69 Charger by the time I'm an old man. Oh, you would? Oh, yeah. Yeah, at your age, that'll turn into $1 million in pretty short order, for real. Yeah, you will. I probably, though, just to reduce the temptation on that, well, I don't know. I mean, at your age, just do it. Can do a high yield, but I think where you are is probably a good place to do it. Now, you'll do better than the 69 Charger and a house trailer by the time you're an old man. At your age, you literally will be a millionaire by the time you're my age for doing that, for real. You by the time you're my age, you literally would probably, yeah. $15. Booster Designs Layton says, I will be printing photos on site at No Name Nationals. Outstanding. Sounds great. Unfinished project, said Dakota, that an old lady and 10 kids. Well, they just scratch all of that. Nope, scratch all of that. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I looked up LSS drone and it came right up. Oh, yeah, there is another way to do it. And then here's the link for the finished project. Yeah. But you see, now that YouTube uses handles, this thing they thought they were helping us with, they were not. Evans Mopars was already sub. Yep, as was I. Lunar says 68's a great year. I'll have a 68 car on the 10th. Yep. The Charger from Bullet only had 3 hubcaps. It had about 7 or so if you count them. Junior says, I know how an old lady feels. Y'all have a nice night. Well, tell you what. Oh, you get be our age, I guess it makes you old, right? I can now say I'll be 50 next year. Oh. Big Mike says, the car buddy reminded me my son got us a 3D printer for Christmas. He's been working on some little projects and learning the ins and outs of designing items to print. Cool. Yeah. I think the 3D print thing is great, but people who 3D print, they just want to 3D print everything. Like everything in their life, they want to 3D print. I don't know anyone who ever got one that didn't go so overboard with it that they practically want to 3D print the world. Most of them are like, man, if there was a bed big enough, I'd be 3D printing a house. Vintage Adventure Drives likes the 66 and 7 Charger. Yeah, I know a lot of people who do. I had a friend of mine that just absolutely loved that. And he got a one of those Marlins, the AMC Marlin that looked so much like one. I knew there was a 66 or 7 in the junkyard, 383 4-speed car that still had the 383 4-speed in it in Cool Charge Junkyard in Tazewell, and they sold the whole car, fortunately. That junkyard had more cool old stuff like that in it. It was unreal. Scrapped it all. Oh. I plan on bringing my 66 or 7 to Sykeston this year. That's right. I was ready to ask Jay. I knew he was bringing something different, bringing a Charger. That's the plan. Max Wedge Dick Dashner says a 67 GTX triple black 4-speed big block. Oh, that sounds really sharp. That sounds outstanding. I got to tell you, I think my favorite look for that body style was Richard Petty's 67 Plymouth, because I thought that car looked so good with the round track setup with the wheels, having that maximum width tire under the fender, front and rear, which looks really different to us, but I thought it looked really good on that car. 67 Belvedere Petty's. And I think they had one, I don't know if it was the original car, I think it was restored, and they had it out on a road course, kind of making parade laps a few years ago. And it looked so good. They had that thing sitting just right. Looked good, sounded good. Love just watching that car cruise around. Thumper's asking, who can see me? We will see who has top and who has all. Okay. So Thumper on my screen, at least, is between LSS Steve and Vintage Adventure Drives. So Thumper is right between the two. Do you see him between those two? He's doing a little test on here. Slant Daily Garage. What's up, suckers? Lurking while I'm practicing my rudiments for the No Name Nationals 2026 concert. Yes, we're going to be jamming music at the end of No Name Nationals 2026. Saturday night. We're having dinner and awards and some music, and it's going to be a good time. You can hear Professor P play. And Vintage Adventure Drives. And Dead Dodge Garage Jamie plan on coming back, playing some music. And Ron Ward plan on playing some music. And RC Industries is planning on playing some music. So you want to be there for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Heavens Mopar says, can't go wrong with real estate unless your wife sells it for $60,000 less a few years later when the market went up. I was at work when she said yes to the people offer 2 years earlier. Ooh. Yikes. Well, few people come out at exactly the right time. We are about 3 years past the peak right now, 3 or 4 years past the peak right now, and people are having to become realistic about prices. We're now taking offers and having market time. It was exciting times when it was like that. The only thing I hated is when you have competing offers, there's 6 offers on something, only one of them is going to get taken. And only one of those buyers' agents is getting paid. And so I wrote a lot of offers that just wouldn't go through for that reason. So I actually kind of like a stable market like this because the more skilled agents rise to the top. And I seem to be able to do good business in these kind of markets. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it not being crazy right now. Thumper said, see, not many can see me. Well, I can see Thumper, but I'm also in the StreamYard interface. The YouTube interface, of course, is different. Trying to look over here at the YouTube interface. Of course, I'll still see him on there. I never have a problem seeing Thumper. Some people do. It seriously could just be literally your username. Yeah, Thumper says you can change your handle on here, Steve. Yes, you can. You can change your handle. It might make it a little easier than Steve capital S-FM4YH. You might make it at LSS Drone or something like that. Probably a good idea. I actually updated mine. I wasn't going to, but I did make it with a capital J and capital W because YouTube went to this handle thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. Tanner says there's a Marlin just a few miles from my job at a salvage yard. It's sitting on the fence line with other cool classics. Yeah, there's usually a lot of those. And, yeah, they free up and go for sale at some point. I was in Junkyard in North Carolina, and I saw a bunch through the fence. Guy had a ton of A-bodies. And he said, they're going to sit there for the rest of my life. Then when my boy gets them, he can decide what he's going to do. I'm like, well, yeah, fair enough. But I'm sitting there 2 feet away through the fence looking at these dark sport taillights. I'm like, that is exactly what I'm doing. But they were together cars, so I certainly understand. And that's why he never parted them out over the years. Now when I see stuff like that in yards, I'm like, man, I hate to take that apart because I think we want to save every car now because they don't make them anymore. Russell can see Thumper. Rabbit Transit Garage is asking who the guy was with the black and gold satellite left turn car in the neck of the woods. He has a monster truck too. Needs to come to No Name Nationals. I'd like to see a monster truck turn up at No Name Nationals. And there are a few over the years I thought might be a good candidate to get there. I would really like to see a legit 48 or 66-inch tire monster truck show up at No Name Nationals. Big Mike said he can only see Thumper when John highlights the comments. Yeah, so, you know, make sure you're on live chat. I don't know. I don't know why that is, guys. I really don't. Steve got his No Name National shirt. He has it on now. Oh, cool. Actually, I do too. I have a No Name National shirt on under this No Name National shirt. This black T-shirt is a No Name National shirt. Wasn't trying to double down on it, but I needed a T-shirt to wear with this because of the material. Third Din Charger race car. Nice. Thumper's right here. Is he Bigfoot's alive and he couldn't see me? Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, man. I really don't. Could just be that sweaty fat guy handle. It could be just that for all I know. YouTube's got the weirdest censorship thing. I have no clue. Couldn't tell you. Lars puts up the link to Left Turn Dodge. 474. Steve, you're at 474. You're close to having a 500 moment tonight. Mexican Specs going live at 2 p.m. tomorrow Mountain Time. So for whatever time zone you're in, remember, Central would be 3, Eastern would be 4 p.m., Pacific Time would be 1 p.m. So Jay just sent me this. Team Blue Ox. I think that's the monster truck he's talking about. Ram monster truck there. I wouldn't mind at all seeing a 66-inch tire monster come to No Name Nationals. Unfinished Project puts up the link. Your own No Name Nationals t-shirt. You can get them there. We got a fresh batch from Gunslinger Graphics. So if you need a No Name National shirt, there's where you can get one. Of course, we sell them on site there too. But gosh, you got another 264 days and hour and 56 minutes to wear it if you go ahead and order it. Minus shipping time. But they're in stock now. We stock sizes up to 3X. You have anything bigger than that, we can still accommodate you, but you need to go to Gunslinger Graphics. You can do it right there on the site. Anyway, we're past our time. How time flies and we're having fun. Been just a blast tonight. Bet a monster truck could have a good 60 foot. Some of them do. And Lars puts up the link to the Mid-South Lowballer. So check out all of our No Name 500 channels. We got 3 registered so far. Lots of channels registered for the No Name Nationals. They have registered early and just continue coming in. But with that said, guys, thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I hope we gave 2025 a good send-off. Looking forward to a good 2026. And don't forget to catch Tech Talk Live on Wednesdays on the Slant Daily Garage channel. They have a great program over there, and that's a good place to ask your Triple Crown questions. We plan to be here, of course, every Friday here on this channel. So as the year shapes up, I plan to have more guests on and good information on that. It'll be forthcoming. We're going to have more interview stuff, guests on this year. But for now, you guys have a great weekend. And I'm out. Y'all take care and thank you.